Hi guys, welcome back to my podcast, Love.Heal.Repeat. And if you're new here, welcome to my podcast. I talk about multiple things across a variety of topics, but I think mainly relating to the spiritual. And this is me. I talk this much because I have no one to yap to, and that's why I started this podcast. So, let's get into today's video. I woke up an hour before I normally do. And I was crying. I was so sad. I had one of the worst dreams of my life, and it was so sad. And it felt real. In my dream, when I was coming out of it, I was like, thank God this is a fucking dream. Thank God this is a dream. And then I woke up and I was like, why am I so hurt over this if it was a dream? And then I was like, wait, was it a dream? Did that happen? And so that was a little freaky to go back and forth for a second, but it was a dream. And it hurt so much. Basically, I'm not going to tell you everything that happened, but in my dream, I was at work and I fucked up so massively twice. The first time was you shouldn't, oops, an accident, but again, it was me doing the accident. I fucked up. And then the second time was you have no choice but to apologize profusely, quit, walk outside, cry, and never go back. And that hurt so much. I think just because in my dream I wanted to be helpful, and I wanted to be helpful, and it backfired, and it just hurt, and it got worse and worse. And I've noticed, and this is why I wanted to film this podcast, because I wanted to ask you guys an energy related question. So, do you ever feel like when you're having a bad day, everything else goes wrong? One thing happens, you're like, eh. Another thing happens, you're like, what the fuck? And then it just keeps going downhill from there. So that's kind of how I felt in this dream. It was one thing was wrong, I was like, ugh. Then something else happened, I was like, what? What was that? And then the third thing happened, and I was like, and I have noticed that in real life too. I think the more you focus on the bad, the more bad it gets, or the worse it gets, and vice versa. So my question to you is, in those moments, so you can change your energy and you can change your perspective at any time. You are not you're not held back by your opinion 30 seconds ago, if you know what I mean. So, that being said, when that happens and things just keep adding up and they just seem to get worse, and maybe you're driving to work, maybe there's tons of traffic, maybe you're on the highway, and then you get off the highway and there's still traffic, and then you get to you're at a stoplight and a car doesn't go, you miss the light, or you're at a stoplight and a train goes by and you have to wait for the train, and it just seems what is going on? And then maybe you nearly get into an... I don't know why all of this is relating to cars, but this is just what I'm thinking of right now. So I wonder, can you just change your energy when that happens and say, no, I'm not letting this ruin my day, and try to be positive? Because I have tried doing that. It doesn't always work though. So I wonder, is it how much you believe things are going to be better? Is it being okay, so let's just say XYZ just happened to me. All my car examples. Let's say they all just happened, and you're like, oh my God, this is so bad. Why is it happening to me? I'm late for work, blah, blah, blah. And it's just angry, and you're like, oh my gosh. So from there, can you say, do either one, be like, nope, it's okay, everything's fine, I'll get there and work on fine, it's all gonna work out okay, and I'm gonna get this next green light, and you can be like very positive about it. Or two, which I think is what works, or two, being like, wow, I can't believe I just got all these trains, like, that's crazy, oh well, it's gonna be okay in the end, because everything always does work out. Like, honestly, I've seen that so many times this week. Everything does always work out. And the more you believe that, the easier and better life gets, honestly. On God. It's about to be 555 on the timer. I think 2 works better than the first because 1 can kind of be ignorant of what's happening. And for example 1, I wanted it to come off as like a, nope, nothing's happening like nothing bad is happening to me, all is well, and like blissfully ignorant of like all of these things happening. I think when you acknowledge that they're happening and saying, hey, I acknowledge this, let's do a recheck because I don't want this to continue to fester throughout my day, and I don't want to keep this energetic field, this aura going around so that I attract everything within 6 feet to me, because that really is kind of how life goes. And I think we're all getting upgrades. Like, genuinely, I've become pretty telepathic recently, and I love it because I've always wanted that, and I've always like dreamed of that. So I think that's really cool. And I notice, like, when I'm within 6 feet of people, my telepathy is much stronger versus being further than 6 feet apart from people. Stay 6 feet apart. COVID. Sorry. Yeah, I think we're all getting upgrades, and I'm sure you guys are too. Like, I don't think you need to well, maybe, I don't know. Is it like, do you need to have been on your spiritual journey or like done that inner work to get these upgrades, or is it just happening to everyone? And I think it's kind of just happening to everyone and people don't realize it, because I think a lot of telepathy, and I'm not feeding your delusions when I say this, so take this how this resonates, but don't go too far with it, okay? Be very cautious with this information I give you. A lot of people don't realize when telepathy is happening because they're like, oh, I'm just thinking, But when a thought comes into your head, and I kind of want to gatekeep this. Honestly, I don't want to give this away because I don't want people to be able to read me. So I'm going to gatekeep respectfully. Yeah, I really don't want people to read me. What is that? Ugh. What's really sad is that in this dream, I think I've tried so hard. Actually, have I tried that hard? I don't know. This year, though, like the last 6 months, I've been trying to release this old version of how I see myself. But given this dream, I'm like, I still haven't. And I've noticed at work too, like, I need a lot of reassurance. And sometimes I feel like I have zero confidence. And like I'm just this shy, small little girl who's lacks confidence and needs reassurance. And that to me is so sad. And then I imagine like me feeling sad about this. I literally imagined in my head, not purposefully, me kicking my younger self. Like literally kicking a little kid. And I was like, oh my God, that's actually horrific. And that's so sad. And maybe this is just who I am. Like maybe this is just my personality. And I think it is. And it could be because of a lot of reasons. The exact one, or I guess I don't know. It is kind of sad because, oh God, this is so emotional. I'm not going to cry on camera. I'm not going to cry to you guys in my podcast. I have some healing to do and some realizing and adjusting and journaling to do. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. That's actually sad. See, you learned so much about yourself. This is, I think, do you guys think everyone has, yeah, do you think everyone has dreams? Like, genuinely, because I kind of feel like we all do, and those of us who don't remember or say that we don't, just don't remember them, right? Because, like, how do you not dream? And also, another thing about dreams, I kind of feel like this has become like a FaceTime now. And by FaceTime, I mean like less of a podcast and more of like a me just sharing something that I'd like share to friends. Also, some dreams feel very real, and I wonder, are we actually like experiencing that? Our dreams in another reality? Which I also think is why I cried so much over this, because I'm like, God, that felt so real. I hope that didn't happen to me in any other reality, because that sucked. And then another thing I was gonna say, if I remember it, something about dreams. Energy? No. It'll pop back up to me somehow. Damn it, what was it? It was gonna be about dreams. But then it also wasn't. It was gonna be, oh, it was about talking? Yes, it was about talking. Okay. I think part of the reason why sometimes I stumble on my words still to this day is because I do see myself as the shy little girl. And I hope I'm not perceived that way, man. Y'all. I hope I'm not. But I do. Like, I do still see myself in that way. And I'd love to grow out of that. Like, genuinely, I'd love to grow out of that, because it just feels so small and limiting and sad as I have tears in my eyes. But yesterday, like, I'm a quiet, low, I want to say octave, but I don't know that that's an octave. I'm like a low, like, hushed tone. And sometimes at work I'll say something and they're like, what? And I'm like, fuck. I don't like being loud. I think I grew up in a loud household with yelling and arguing, and just like a lot of people. Like, I have 8 people in my immediate family, including myself. And so it's just a lot. And I think, and I was asking a client about it who is like a psychologist or studying psychology. And they were like, it could just be your personality, and it could also be from, there's so much going on in your house, why do you need to add to it? And there's so many voices, and there's so many, it's so loud that, like, why would you add to it? And like, I don't want to be around that. And why would I add to that? I don't want to add to that. I'd rather be more hushed than loud. I think, like, I do love myself, but sometimes it's hard to accept those little bits of yourself that you're like, wow, I wish that was different. Then you have to ask yourself, why do you wish that was different? And a lot of the times it comes from childhood and how people tried to program you. Which, like, that in itself, how people tried to, not turning out how people tried to program you, is hard. Let that sink in, because I think a couple people need to hear that. And this is on healing, man. This is on healing. So I'm going to go journal. I'm going to wrap this up. And that's it. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you guys. I hope this finds those who it's meant to. I hope it sparks something in you and maybe helps you heal a little bit. So, peace and love, as always. See you in the next one. Bye.